Well, what are we doing today? Well, I'm hiding out in my office in semi-quarantine. I'm not ill, but I'm following all the government advice and staying inside when it's not necessary. One of the things that has arrived for repair here is this Jukebox unit, which I'll open shortly. And it's been sitting here for 3 days after it's been thoroughly disinfected twice in that time, and not been contacted in the meanwhile, because I don't trust who's touched this and whose sticky fingers have been on it. So I've been extra careful, especially considering that I have MS, and any sort of immune response is likely to end badly for me. So what are we going to do with this? Well, I'm told there's a problem here in that one of these XLR plugs is really buggered and the pins are floating around, and that it boots up and nothing ends up on the screen. Now, I recognize this. I made this 3D printed cable gland some years ago, maybe getting on to 6 or 7 years ago, and I made that out of the Chinese PLA. It wasn't too bad. And I installed this video splitter on here so they can run multiple monitors. So this one's landed on my lap to repair a few times, and it belongs to a friend of mine. So let's crack this thing open and have a look inside. So let's undo this lock here. So this actually comes off here. Now there is a motherboard and power supply, hard drive and whatnot in here. There's amplifier controls and a wireless microphone unit for the karaoke, which the antenna is yet again broken on that. You can see here if I flick it with my finger. I'll put some more heat shrink on and fix that. So I think first thing we're going to do is we're going to rip out that XLR socket in there and put a new one in, and we'll go from there. I'll find some drill bits. Alright, we're really at a bit of an awkward angle at the moment, largely because I'm working in a different area than I would normally do. But at least these are screwed on and not riveted on as a lot of them are. I went and got my drill bits expecting to have to drill it out, but I didn't. Okay, so there's a little bit of cable here, but we can see clearly what's happened. This has come loose from the socket. Now I happen to have a few spare ones of these, so I'll take note of how that's arranged and we'll solder a new one on. And I might have to get my gas iron because my other iron doesn't reach this far. I might pull this back panel out. I'll see if I can detach everything. Now in a normal situation I'd chop all these off and then just re-tin it and solder it, but there's really very little meat left on this and I don't want to lose that. So I'm going to take an overhead light here, I'm going to stick it onto the chassis well away from the hard drive. Hopefully we can see what's going on there. I'm going to warm on the gas iron. I bought one of these from Aldi years ago and it had a much simpler system on it. This is my spare one, it's my second one, and you've got to have like 3 fingers or almost 2 hands to manipulate the unit into staying on. Now I have a bunch of XLR connectors here, kindly donated by the likes of Leonard Audio some time ago. These have got 4 pins on them. I think that's a ground pin, not necessary for this, but that is, I think, the same. Oh, this is different orientation of XLR, but oh, that one's got vertical holes. Well, I guess it'll fit through there. I might have to drill a couple of holes and put them in there, but that's okay. We'll tin our iron here and get that warm. These irons really don't take very long to warm up. Now we are black on the right hand side and black and shield. Same time, let's come out of the solder cup. Whether I can get them back in again will be another matter. I think I've got to tin this. The story with this is somebody tripped over the cables. Can I trim off some of the junk off the end of this, or at least melt it off? Normally I wouldn't go to this kind of a extent to retrieve. Yeah, so much stuff happening. I've had a sleepless night last night, so talking is not a good point for me right now. Normally I wouldn't go to such an extent to try and save just a tiny little bit of cable here, but in this case there isn't much else to do. Now let's just make sure I have my buggered cable. Well, that's definitely the buggered socket. I've just pulled that apart and it's fallen apart in my hands. So, yep, so our black was on our right hand side, and see, as I've let go of this cable it flipped over, so it's hard to train these cables sometimes. Now, one of the advantages of filming this stuff is that you can go back and check in case you made a mistake before you turn things on, because reverse polarity is rarely kind to things unless they're designed the way they should and have a bridge rectifier in them. I'm sorry guys if my arm's in the way right now, it's a tricky angle to get. Oh, that solder cup, these have been used sockets, so that solder cup is not liking that cable going in there. We get it nice and warm. Well, it's not a perfect join at all. I think I need to tin these. We'll be right back. Alright, so this is really not a great solder join. It is solid at least, but not great. We'll fix that up off camera in a moment. I just wanted to demonstrate the position here. We're going to have to drill a couple of holes. So I think we're going to drill these holes, get it positioned, and then I'll clean up those joints, and we'll move on to the next bit of the repair. Alright, so I apologise again for the dodgy angle, but I've got to work the hand I've been dealt. So I'm starting off, these are threaded holes by the way, somebody's run a thread tap through, and it's only 1mm steel, so not much to thread into. I'm taking a drill bit that is a fraction of a size smaller than the screws, and I hope they might cut their own thread. And yes, my hands are clear on the other side. We might change upper speed. Let's try this. I'm just going gently there. I don't want to bust a drill bit or go overboard and drill into something behind it. Let's see if we can get a screw through this hole. Oh, it is. It's going to cut its own thread. Hardened steel screws and mild steel chassis. Handy. Right, we'll get the other one done and we'll be right back. Alright, so now that we've fixed the port, we've got to look at this antenna here. This one's got some problems. Obviously it's meant to hinge on this little hinge point here, which is very stiff. This bit's been broken repeatedly over the years, and it was stuck together with heat shrink and glue-filled heat shrink by the looks of it. Also a bit of hot glue in here. I might try some good Loctite super glue in here, and I'll stick some tape around there till it sets. It won't look pretty, but it should work. And this part of it's hidden behind the cover anyway, but it's going to be better than it slopping around like it was before. So let's find some of that good stuff. Oh, there's a frequency on here, 790 to 820 megahertz. I think that's in the, I don't think the band plan for that is valid under ACMA anymore. Oh, I'm not sure. I will have to look that up. But for now, I need to get some glue into this. I did a quick little search here, and on ACMA it says that, geez, this is a pointer over here at the screen, you can no longer use wireless microphones in the frequency range of 694 to 820 megahertz. I've shifted that down to 520 to 694. So, this being 790 to 820 probably isn't valid anymore, isn't legal to use. I'll probably have to tell them that. Yeah, because I think 820 edges into the bottom end of mobile phone band. I think UMTS is about 820 megahertz or 840 or 50, something like that. Anyway, we've got to get some glue in here. My apprentice is running around the house at the moment. Right, there was a foot injury and a couple of mozzie bites to tend to there. Let's get back to the Loctite. The only thing I can knock about this Loctite is the tube is very stiff. So we'll push you together and hold for a moment. Hopefully I can put the lid back on here. Right, while I'm holding that, because I don't want to hold it forever, I'm going to use a little bit of insulation tape here. We'll wrap that around here. Alright, we'll let that set for a little while we do everything else. Now let's see if we can get this thing to boot. Right, time to see if we can fire this up. I've seen a couple of things fire up. That's the LCD display, or the LCD driver board. I think there's a power button on the side somewhere. Off memory, this one I think. Alright, power supply's up. I've heard a hard drive fire up. Cooling fans at the front. I would expect to see a BIOS screen usually at the front at some point. I'll give it a few minutes and see what happens. I really need to clean up in here. It's getting really cramped. Alright, we have a tricky and precarious setup here. I'm holding this one-handed because my cables only just reach. But off camera, we were seeing Windows XP boot up on the secondary display. But the primary display is not working. That should be duplicated. So I'm pretty sure the computer side of this is okay. Yep, here's our video box software is coming up. This is our Jukebox software. So something's wrong with the display. Alright, let me go dig in and see what's going on with that. Alright, so I found the problem, and let's have a look. This was actually startlingly simple. In here, go around the cycles of our torch. Up in here, that little blue thing that my spotlight's on, that's a VGA connector. And over time, the little locking screws had rattled loose on that. Now, an interesting little tip, if I grab my Swiss Army knife, which I don't have on me, I'll show you what's handy about that. But I've got to move locations. Here's the horrible mess that is my desk right at the moment. Quarantine times have really sort of driven me to distraction a bit. Now, this is my Swiss Army knife. Now, there's two steps in here. There's normally a driver bit that lives in this, and I've lost my good Phillips one. Really frustrating. But these two steps coincide with the two different sizes standards of these little threaded inserts. And so that is probably the handiest thing I've ever had. And I can put it at a nice right angle and get in there. But that's a Swiss Army cyber tool, and that's a little trick that a lot of people don't realize about this, and that's why they chose that size of driver bit. So that helped me fix this. So let's get this box of bits back together and see if we can make it work. Meantime, everything seems to have solidified. I'm just going to leave the tape on here, even though I don't have to. It should still help keep that, but that should keep a nice sturdy look rather than the slopping, broken feel that it had before. So let's get this all back together. Alright, so we're finally fully assembled. I come around here, the antennas sit nice and straight now, video splitters still in good position, everything's looking good. So we'll find our little button around the side here. Right. And that should trigger it to shut down. Alright, now I can get rid of this thing, make some room, and clean up my office space. It's starting to get a little bit overwhelming at the moment, so I'm getting a bit of cabin fever. So let's get this picked up and out of here, because I've got some donations and deliveries to do. It was going to be a really quiet month because of the coronavirus. It's turning out to probably my biggest donations and deliveries ever. Probably money-wise, not quantity-wise, but I'll let you guys judge that for yourself. Anyway, that's the end of this video, and you'll probably see the donations video in a few days. See what happens. Alright, next video.